Only by chisel and hammer will life reveal its reasons. This much has always been true, but we were once easily satisfied, failing to spot blemishes and poor craftsmanship. Our struggle is deeper, for after thousands of years of refining humanity's aesthetic taste, the slightest imperfection has become intolerable. Thus, the most skilled artisans are now needed, and to develop the creative instinct, one must first study from life. 1. The demand. Static, crackling in the stomach, an implacable anxiety which robs life of its joy. Such is the mean experience of a whole generation, unbound from instinct and intuition, constantly invited to weigh every action against 1,000 variables, 1,000 potential sufferings, 1,000 what-ifs. 2. Productivity unto death. One must have the nourishment of productivity, or else starve. No material condition can bend this law. One need only look to those idlers, who eventually experience the hunger pangs of the psyche, dread, paranoia, and contempt. I have felt them as well. 3. An act of creation. We are not here merely to consume, and then return to dust, but to create. Such is the nature of living things. To abandon this principle makes one ashamed, always stealing from the coffers of life and giving nothing back. One need not even have a conscience to feel such shame. 4. A dance with the abyss. Leisure is an abyss, ever plotting to fuel its own expansion. It tempts with silence, and one must spend time there or go deaf from life. However, wander too long, and one risks becoming lost in its sprawling chasms. In this modern day, leisure has become ever more dangerous, overflowing with webs, crawling with spiders. 5. An insurmountable challenge. All things must be taken in moderation. There is a fine line between health and self-destruction, but modernity has forgotten this balance, dealing only in extremes. It says unto the artist, symbol of the greatest sufferer, who would at times self-mutilate and lose sleep for his craft, and isolate to the point of madness. You have not yet suffered enough. 6. A story of purpose. Why does the death of purpose plant such profound sorrow in the mind? Perhaps because it is the shadowy omen of an unproductive life. One becomes lost in seeking, lethargic in pursuit, bloated in idleness, and the instincts wither. Yet, rulers throughout history appear to have been immune from this affliction. They invoked the divine right of kings to legitimize themselves, letting purpose spring forth from action, not the reverse. Even the most powerful gods bend to their wills. Should one wish to be the ruler of their own domain, purpose must arise from drives and productions, from habits and proclivities, an artist's flair rather than the fuel of striving, for what burns brightest also burns quickest. 7. Resolving contradictions. The Machiavellian enacts violence to end violence. With resolute and brutal action, he cripples his enemies to mitigate future revolt. In this way, he overcomes the contradiction by sheer might, making peace a product of violence and not its opposite. However, when one participates in such a contradiction, one incurs a debt, a discordance in the symbology of the mind. The stubbornly persistent contradiction of modern life is the striving towards the very destruction of striving. One works only so that they might one day retire from work, once again conflating means and ends. Commandments and categorical imperatives seek to prohibit contradictory means of living, in order to keep the mind in harmony. However, one who builds a cage around reality will be comfortable only until reality becomes too volatile and too violent to confine. Contradictions are inescapable, but they do not have to be ugly. Should one dare to be bold, to wager, to test one's character, one might just match the energy of reality. This the musicians know, that a touch of discord, added tastefully, can make a song beautiful.